Alright, good morning guys. This is our last day in Dublin, so we figured we'd take you along with us today like we did in Istanbul while we run around the city checking out all the last minute things that we missed the first time we were here earlier in our trip. So as you can see, it is once again raining in Dublin. We have had no luck in this city except for yesterday, and then one day by the cliffs were beautiful. But that's alright, it just gives you the feel that you're in Ireland, I guess. Let's see, our first stop today is going to be at Trinity College. We're going to head on in there and check out the famous Trinity College. Right now we're on Grafton Street. You can see it's just a bunch of tour groups and buses and hop on, hop off buses, and this is one of the main stops, I guess, here at Trinity College. So that will be our first stop of the day, and then we got some more stuff planned for you. Keep you busy all day, but for now let's head on in here and check out the famous Trinity College. So Trinity College is one of Ireland's premier colleges. It's been here since 1592, so it's one of the oldest colleges in all of Western Europe. And there have been some famous people here. Sean O'Connery, I think, was one of them. There's a list over there on the wall. As soon as I can get back over there, I'll name some of the other ones that are on it. Doesn't look like they have any lawnmower or anybody taking care of the grounds here. Look at this place. Okay, so some of the ones are Oscar Wilde and Jonathan Swift. There's a couple of Nobel Prize winners that came here also. I'm kind of missing the point so far. It does not look like that very nice of a university from here. I guess it's just all about the history behind it. These buildings. So coming here to visit Trinity College is free. You don't have to pay anything to get in. You can walk around the grounds, walk through some of the buildings, and I guess really if you're into old architecture, it is over 500 years old, so some of these buildings are pretty impressive. The main draw here for tourism, however, is in the library they have the Book of Kells, which is from 800 AD. It's one of the ancient gospels written supposedly here in Ireland, and it's on display in here. However, to get into that, you have to wait on a huge line, and it's $30 a person to get in just to see the book inside its enclosure. So we are going to skip on that. I have no interest in going in and seeing that book. However, that is the main draw here. You can see tons of tour groups lining up to see it. So that was a quick stop. We walked through the grounds, we checked it out, and now we're going to head to stop number 2. Alright guys, that ship over there is going to be stop number 2 for the day. That is the Jeannie Johnston, and it's a very historic ship here that was used back during the potato famine when everybody was trying to get out of Ireland. That was one of the ships they used to go across the ocean, and it's got some pretty cool history. So we're going to go over there and see if we can't get inside and take a little tour, and we'll tell you all about the history when we get there, out of the rain. When we took this boat tour up and down the Leafy River, we heard a little bit of the history of the boat. That's what caught our interest. Then when we went to the Emigration Museum, we heard more about it there and decided, okay, we definitely better come check this out. And the guy told us that if we came back, we'd be able to take a tour and go actually climb around inside the boat. So we figured, why not? Let's go do it, get us out of the rain, and learn about some history before we leave Ireland today.
Cool. Now I will recommend that you stand under the tarp wherever we can, not because of the rain, but a lot of birds like to sit on the mast up there. You do not want to get caught underneath the birds. Trust me on this here for a little while. Hello there, come on up. So, welcome aboard the Jeannie, everyone. Now this is a famine replica ship. The original is lying at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. So this is a replica built by our government as a millennia project to celebrate the year 2000 here in Ireland. When the ship was finally finished, it made one grand voyage across the Atlantic Ocean, sailing to 32 American and Canadian cities. Now that took a good few years, but after that voyage it became a training vessel, going around Europe teaching young folk how to sail a flagship like this. After that, the Jeannie was offered to the Irish Navy for use. They said no, they turned it down. They didn't want it. They said it was too slow to be a Navy ship. The Jeannie once participated in a boat race in Waterford, not too far from here. There were 65 ships competing that day. The Jeannie came 60th, beating 5. So not quite last, but not fast enough to be in that competition. Now it would be nearly impossible to talk about a famine ship without talking a little bit about the famine. So bear with me for the next 5 or 10 minutes. I am going to very quickly run you through everything you need to know today to understand the history of the ship. The
Potato crop here in Ireland was devastated by a blight, a fungal infection that came from Mexico up through North America and then across to Europe, and it destroyed the entire potato crops here overnight. And apparently she was saying that here in this country at the time people were eating nothing but potatoes, strictly, entirely. That was their whole diet, nothing else but potatoes. They would eat like 25 potatoes a day to survive. So when the crop was gone, 25% of the population here was lost. So what they had to do was get on these ships and go across overseas to survive. And that's why they call these things coffin ships, because you had a 1 in 3 chance of surviving if you were to take the trip across the ocean. But that was better than staying here and starving to death. So this ship, the Jeannie Johnston, however, had a mortality rate of 0. For some reason this ship made it, and we're going to go downstairs now and see why all of its people made it across here. Now this is actually a replica of the original ship. This was built as part of Ireland's millennial projects that went on. This ship didn't have any deaths was because it had a doctor on board, and the doctor was very strict as to the conditions that the people lived in. He made them clean after every meal, go up on deck once a day, fresh air, shake the blankets out over the side of the ship every day to get rid of the mites and bugs, and all these things were things that weren't being done on other ships because they didn't have a doctor. Now this doctor had done ships from South America to Calcutta, India in the past, so he knew what to do to keep the people alive, and that is why this ship was so successful in survivors. Now the girl who's giving this tour is absolutely fantastic. She's so genuine, and she knows that she really loves what she's doing. You can tell she's very informative. She's having a lot of fun telling the stories, and she's just full of information, tons of information. I highly recommend taking this tour with her if you can get a chance to get with her. She really is enjoying what she's doing. So this ship eventually sank in the Atlantic on one of its crossings, and the story of its sinking was pretty amazing. She said that the remaining people that were on board, it wasn't a full ship at the time, there were only like 15 people on board, and they all climbed to the top of this mast and they tied themselves to it as the ship was sinking. It took 9 days for it to sink, and they just stayed up there tied to the mast. And then eventually a ship came by, saw them, rescued them, and so that means that to this day this ship, even though it sank, never lost anybody, never lost a human life at all. Pretty incredible. And like I said, the stories behind it were really cool. The girl who gave this tour was amazing. She had so much information. We were so excited to be talking about it, so it really made it even more fun. Definitely, if you get a chance to come on board the ship and check it out, I would do it. It was a fun little tour. One thing to keep in mind though is that it is a replica, so some of the things aren't exactly true to size and stuff like that, like the height of the ship, because modern day regulations required these ships to be bigger or things like that, so they had to meet modern day requirements to keep the ship out here underwater. And so it's not exactly to scale and all that, but it is still pretty interesting. So that tour lasted about an hour, and it cost $14 per person to go on the tour, so I definitely think it was worth it. Now we are heading off to our next stop, pick up some laundry real fast. Did you hear that, people? She said we're probably going to take a detour to get some dessert before lunch. Alright guys, we have made it to what is going to be our last stop of the day. We have just had about enough of the rain and walking around in the rain and being wet and cold. So we are going to check out the Christ Church Cathedral. This is the oldest building here in Dublin, and it is actually pretty impressive looking from the outside. But we're going to see if we can even get in. Sometimes they're holding masses and they have tour guides going on in there right now, so I'm not even sure if we can get inside right now, but we're going to check out the outside and then probably call it a day because the rain is just really getting on us right now. Check this out, the church has been here so long they actually have a road going through it. Alright, so it's been a few hours now. We've been walking around out here in the rain and we are just chilled down to the bones. We're soaking wet and we pretty much had enough. We are going to leave you guys with a picture of the Christ Church Cathedral. Show you some shots of that as we walk by, and I think we're gonna wrap it up here from Dublin. This is it. We spent 2 weeks here. We've had a great time. The countryside was beautiful. We loved traveling around in a rent-a-car. The city of Dublin was much more fun than we expected. Overall, we had a much better time here than we thought. We really didn't have many expectations for Ireland, but it turned out to be one of our favorite countries. It's been so much fun, from river dance to all the other things we've done along the way, the castles and the sleeping in the castle and the scenic drives. It's just been one hell of a trip. So if you guys enjoyed that trip, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. We've got a lot more coming. Even though Ireland's over, this adventure's not. We're still chasing that 100 country club. So stick around, guys. Thanks for watching.